Hello all, welcome to another episode of MCQ Champion Series presented by me Aditya Dubey. This is part 6 of the Modern History UPSC segment in which I am going to cover all the questions that were pertaining to 1995 to year 2016. So in this video we are going to cover all the questions that were asked from year 2007 to 2016. So if you haven't watched the previous video, then I urge you to please watch it first, then continue with the series because it will help you in revision. So let's start. So the question number 63 is, the ruler of which of the following states were removed from the power by British on the pretext of misgovernance? So this question had been asked in the year 2007 of the UPSC Prelims, although this question had been asked in various state pieces exam as well. So you might have already guessed that the correct answer is Awadh. Now, apart from Awadh, the three other states, that are Jhansi, Nagpur and Satara, were annexed on the basis of doctrine of lapse by Lord Dalhousie, that you already know. But pertaining to Awadh, the Nawab of Awadh called as Wajid Ali Shah, and he had many children. So since doctrine of lapse is not applicable if the ruler or the Nawab have the children, so it was annexed on the pretext of misgovernance. So the correct answer is Awadh. Now if you it's quite good practice to know also the year at which the Britishers annexed these following state. So for your information, Jhansi was annexed in 1853. Now you had heard about Jhansi ki Rani. So 1853 was the annexation date of Jhansi, whereas for the Satara it was 1848. So 1848 was for Satara, and Nagpur was 1854. So I will just write 1854. And the Awadh, as you all know, that it was established, it was annexed on the year 1856. So the correct order is, the first one is the Awadh. That is the correct answer. That is option number 63. So let's move on to question number 54. Now, who among the following European were the last to come to pre-independence India as trader? So this question had been previously asked in the 1996 year as well. So in which I had given you the correct order of precedence of the European in which they came. So the first one was the Portuguese, the second one was the Dutch, third one was the English, and then fourth one was the Danish, and the last one, that is the fifth one, was the French. So the last one is the French. So correct answer is option C. Now the French arrived in India in the year 1664. This is just an additional information for your general understanding. And for Portuguese, you know, Vasco da Gama, 17th May 1498, and for Dutch 1602, and for English it's 1599. So you must also prepare the order in which they came. So the simple trick is P, D, E, D, E, F. So this is the correct order of precedence in which European arrived and invaded in India. So let's move on to question number 65. Now question number 65 is, consider the following statement. So we have given two statements and we need to check which of the following statement is or are correct. So the correct, so let's read all the points that were given here. Robert Clive was the first Governor-General of Bengal. So if you have read the miscellaneous of the Lucent, or if you have gone through the basic modern history, so you might have easily identified that Warren Hastings was the first governor of Bengal. Instead of Robert Clive, it should be Warren Hastings, WH. Now let's move on to point number 2, that is William Bentinck was the first Governor General of India. That is correct. So by this 1 and 2 analogy, we can easily get that option B, that is 2 only, is correct. Now let's move on to question number 66. Now question number 66 is, which of the following was the first fort constructed by British in India? So this question had been asked in the year 2007. So the correct answer is option C, that is Fort St David. Now Fort William was established in Calcutta in the year 1781, and Fort St George, which is in Chennai, which was established in 1644. Fort St David was established in Madras in the year 1670, And Fort St Angelo was in Kerala in the year 1505. Sorry. So Fort St David was in Madras, and it was the first fort constructed by British in India. So let's move on to question number 67. Now question number 67 is, who among the following wrote the book Bahu-Vivah? Now Bahu-Vivah is a Hindi term, and if you know that it is also called as the polygamy, that is multiple wives in simple terms, polygamy. Sorry if you cannot read it because I'm typing with mouse, so it's quite difficult for me to write in the correct font size. So the correct answer is Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, who wrote the book Bahu-Vivah, and it was written in the pretext of evil of polygamy, that is Bahu-Vivah, and that is more than one wife. So Vivah means marriage and Bahu means many, so that is polygamy. Now let's move on to question number 68. Now we have given, consider the following statement 2007, this question had been asked. So we have given the following three statements. We need to check which of the statement is correct. So let's read the first statement, that is Jawaharlal Nehru in fourth term as the Prime Minister of India at the time of his death. So that is correct. Jawaharlal Nehru represented Rae Bareilly constituency as the member of parliament. So no, this question is not correct. This option is not correct because Jawaharlal Nehru represented the Phulpur constituency of the UP. Now Rae Bareilly is not represented by Jawaharlal Nehru, so option B becomes incorrect. Now let's read the third option, that is the first non-Congress Prime Minister of India assumed the office in the year 1977. So if you know that the first non-Congress Prime Minister of India was Morarji Desai, who was from Janata Party, and he was during the tenure of 1977 to 1979. So the correct answer by the following analogy we can easily derive, that is option D, that is 1 and 3 are correct. So let's move on to question number 69. Now question number 69 is, we need to match list 1 with list 2, and we have given the list of author and followed by their work. So this question is very easy. So the correct answer is option C, that is A belong to 2, that is Bankim Chandra wrote Debi Chaudrani, Deen Bandhu Mitra wrote Neel Darpan, Premchand wrote Shatranj Ke Khiladi. So this is the following analogy that you can easily guess. So let's move on to question number 70. Now question number 70 is, we have given the following list, that is list 1 and list 2, and we have given the person and we need to associate that person with certain position. So the correct answer is option B, that is Nagendra Singh was pertaining to President of the International Court of Justice, A.N. Roy was pertaining to Chief Justice of India, R.K. Trivedi was pertaining to Chief Election Commissioner of India, Ashok Desai was pertaining to Attorney General of India. Now if you are preparing for the civil services in the year 2017, so I urge you to please look through who is the Chief Election Commissioner of India in the current time, because during that time these were the persons that were responsible for that position. So this is pertaining to current affairs, so you just revise who is the current Chief Election Commissioner of India, who is the President of International Court of Justice, who is the Chief Justice of the India, who is the Attorney General of India. So this is very important because they might give you in this year by in the match the column option. So let's move on to question number 71. Now question number 71 is, consider the following statement. So we have given certain two statements and we need to check which statement is correct. So let's read one by one. So Justice V R Krishna Iyer was the Chief Justice of India, and Justice V R Krishna Iyer is considered as one of the initiator of public interest litigation. So the correct answer is option B, because Justice P.N. Bhagwati and Justice V R Krishna Iyer were among the first judges to admit the PIL in the court, whereas the first Chief Justice of India was not the Justice V R Krishna Iyer. So the correct answer by this analogy becomes 2, that is B, that is 2 only. So let's move on to question number 72. Now question number 72 is, in collaboration with David Hare and Alexander Duff, who of the following established Hindu College of Calcutta? Now this question had been asked in the UPSC Prelims 2009. So the correct answer if you have watched my previous videos, because I think this question had been repeated in 2003 as well. So the correct answer is Raja Rammohan Roy, which you can easily guess. So the foundation of the Hindu College in Calcutta was laid by Raja Rammohan Roy, and it was if it asks the exact date, so exact date is 20th January 1817. So 20th January 1817 was the foundation date of Hindu College of Calcutta. Now let's move on to question number 73. Now question number 73 is, consider the following statement and we need to check which of the statement is correct. So this question had been asked in the year 2009. So let's check one by one. The first telegraph line in India was laid between Kolkata, formerly Calcutta, and Diamond Harbour. That is correct. The first export processing zone in India was set up in Kandla. So that is also correct. So the correct answer is option C. That is both 1 and 2 are correct. Now let's read the information that were pertaining to this question. So the first electric telegraph line in India was started between Kolkata and Diamond Harbour in 1850. So if in exam they will ask you the exact date, so it is 1850. And the first export zone of India was set up in Kandla in the year 1965. So 1965 was the date of the first export processing zone in India was set up in Kandla. So let's move on to question number 74. Now question number 74 is, who among the following Governor-General created the Covenanted Civil Services of India, which later came to be known as Indian Civil Service? So this is very common question, and you have to know it, because if you are preparing for this job, so you just need to know who created the civil services. Or this question had been asked in the year 2010, so you can easily guess if you know that it was Lord Cornwallis. And by the way, his tenure was in between 1786 to 1793, and he was the first to bring into existence and organize the civil services. So let's move on to question number 75. Now this is very long question. So by regulation of 1793, the district collector was deprived of his judicial power and made the collection agent only. What was the reason for that regulation? So this question had been asked in the year 2010, and we need to tick which of the following statement is correct. So the correct answer is option C, that is Lord Cornwallis was alarmed at the extent of power concentrated in district collector and felt that absolute power was undesirable in one person. So that is the correct answer. You may read while pausing the video. So I'm just going to skip now and move on to next question, that is question number 76. So let's move to question number 76. Now question number 76 is, what was the immediate reason for Ahmad Shah Abdali to invade India and fight the third battle of Panipat? So this question had been asked in the year 2010. Now the correct answer is option A, that is the Ahmad Shah Abdali wanted to avenge the expulsion by Marathas of his viceroy Timur Shah from Lahore. Now another thing which I want to add, that to avenge their expulsion of Timur Shah, Ahmad Shah Abdali invaded India in the 5th time, and it was in October 1759, and he conquered the Punjab. So the correct year is 1759. So let's move on to question number 77. Now with reference to Pondicherry, now Puducherry, consider the following statement. So this question had been asked in 2010, and we need to check which statement is correct. So the correct, so let's read one of three options. So the first European power to occupy Pondicherry was Portuguese, and that is not correct. The second European power to occupy Pondicherry were French. That is also not correct. The English never occupied Pondicherry. So that is wrong, because English occupied the Pondicherry. So the correct answer is option C, that is 3 only. Now the first European power to occupy the Pondicherry, or which is distributed in Mahe, Yanam and Karikal. So it was French, and the French occupied the Pondicherry in the year 1739. So if it asks you in the another year that which year that French occupied the Pondicherry, so you can easily answer that it was 1739 at which French occupied the Pondicherry. Now you must also know that the Pondicherry is not a single state or the single area that is pointed in map. It is pointed in 3 different locations. The first one is the Mahe, which is located in Malabar Port, Yanam, which is in Coromandel, and Karikal is in Tamil Nadu. So let's move on to question number 78. Now question number 78 is the instrument of instruction. The instrument of instruction contained in the Government of India Act 1935 have been incorporated in the Constitution of India in the year 1950 as. So the instrument of accession was inside the directive principle of state policy. That is easy question. So it had been asked in the year 2010. So the instrument of accession was under the Government of India Act 1935. It was the instruction that was introduced by the governor of the colony of the governor in British government. So under the draft constitution, these were instructions that were proposed, and it was directly derivative for the state and the central government and adopted under the directive principle of state policy, which is also known as DPSP. So DPSP. Now let's move on to question number 79. So question number 79 is the tendency of increased litigation was visible after the introduction of the land settlement system of Lord Cornwallis in the year 1793. The reason for this is normally traced to which of the following provision: making Zamindar position strong vis-a-vis the Ryot, making East India Company an overlord of Zamindar. So that is wrong. So option A and B is wrong. Making judicial system more efficient, that is also wrong. So the correct answer is option D. Neither of the option A, B, C are correct. So let's move on to question number 80. Now the question number 80 is which amongst the following provided a common factor for tribal insurrection in India in 19th century? So introduction of a new system of land revenue and taxation of tribal product, that is incorrect. Influence of foreign religious missionary in a tribal area, that is also incorrect. Rise of a large number of money lender, trader and revenue farmer as middlemen in tribal area, that is also incorrect. So the correct answer by default becomes D, that is the complete disruption of the old agrarian orders for the tribal community. So let's move on to question number 81. Now question number 81 is with reference to the period of colonial rule in India, home charges formed an important part of drain of wealth in India. So which of the following fund constituted the home charges? Now drain of wealth, whenever the drain of wealth word click, you must have heard the name Dadabhai Naoroji, the Grand Old Man of India. So the options that are enlisted here is, so the fund used to supply the Indian office in London, the fund used to support the Indian office in London, fund used to pay salary and pension of British personnel engaged in India, fund used to waging war outside India and the British. So if you had watched the video of Shashi Tharoor, Dr. Shashi Tharoor in the Oxford Union that has been recently went viral. So in that he discussed how does the British owe reparation to India. So in that following video he enshrined all these following points that were enlisted here. Also if you had read the basic history books that were even if you read the Lucent, you can easily find the answer that is correct. That is option D, that is 1, 2, 3, all are correct. And let's move on to question number 82. So question number 82 is what was the purpose with which Sir William Wedderburn and W.S. Kane had set up the Indian Parliamentary Committee in 1893? So if you know that this incident is related with formation of Indian National Congress. So as you know that the Indian National Congress was founded in year 1885. The exact date I remember is 28 December 1885. And who founded it? It's Alan Octavian Hume, and it was founded in Gokul Das Tejpal Sanskrit College with 72 delegates in the attendance. Now although the Bhumesh Banerjee was the first president of the Indian National Congress, now the additional British member were the Sir Wedderburn and W.S. Kane, and they entered the parliament as a liberal member in the year 1893, and they were sought to voice their Indian grievances within the house. So the correct answer is option A, that is to agitate for Indian political reform in the House of Commons. So the option A is the correct answer. Now let's move on to question number 83. Now option 83 is which of the following is our principal feature of the Government of India Act 1919? So this question had been asked in the year 2012. So let's read one by one. Introduction of diarchy in the executive government of provinces, that is correct. Introduction of separate communal electorate for Muslim, that is incorrect. Option C, that is devolution of legislative authority by state to the provinces. That is correct. So option C, that is 1 and 3 became the correct. And let's move on to question number 84. Which one? 84. Now question number 84 is, with reference to Ryotwari settlement, consider the following statement. So we have given 3 statements and we need to check which of the statement is correct. So the rent was paid directly by the peasant to the government. That is correct in pertaining to Ryotwari settlement. The government gave pattas to Ryot. That is also correct. Lands were surveyed and assessed before being taxed. So that is incorrect. Now in the Ryotwari settlement, the rent was paid directly by the peasant to the government, and the government gave pattas to the Ryot. So the correct answer is option B, that is 1 and 2 is correct. Now let's move on to question number 85. Now 85 is, with which of the following statement is correct regarding Brahmo Samaj? So as you know, if you know, the Brahmo Samaj was being founded by Raja Rammohan Roy, RRMR, and it opposed the idolatry. Yes, it also promoted the monotheism. The Brahmo Samaj was basically based on the idea of single god, and it opposed the idolatry that was there in the Hinduism, and it denied the need for a priestly class for interpreting the religious text. That is also correct. So it popularized the doctrine that Vedas are infallible. Now it does not popularize the doctrine that the Vedas are infallible, that is they are always correct. So the correct answer is option B, that is statement 1 and 2 is only correct, rest option 3 is incorrect. So let's move on to question number 86. Now question number 86 is, consider the following statement, and this question had been asked in the year 2012 of the UPSC Prelims. So we need to check which of the following were introduced in India by English. So assessment of land revenue system on the basis of nature of soil and the quality of crop, that is incorrect. Use of mobile cannon in warfare, that is incorrect. Cultivation of tobacco and red chilies, that were also being introduced by the Portuguese. Tobacco has been introduced by the Portuguese, as well as not only tobacco but also potato along with red chilies. So the correct answer is option D, that is none of them is correct. So let's move on to question number 87. Now question number 87 is, with reference to Indian history, the member of Constituent Assembly from the provinces were. Now we had given certain statement that are option A, B, C, D, and we need to check which of the following statement is correct. So directly elected by the people of those provinces, that is incorrect. Nominated by the Indian National Congress and Muslim League, that is by default become incorrect. Elected by Provincial Legislative Assembly, now that is correct. So the correct answer is, with reference to Indian history, the member of the Constituent Assembly from the provinces were elected by the Provincial Legislative Assembly. So the correct answer is option C. Let's move on to question number 88. Now the demand of Tebhaga Peasant Movement in Bengal was regarding the reduction of the share of the landlords from 1/2 of the crop to 1/3. So that is correct, that is option A is correct. Now let's move on to question number 89. So question number 89 must have brought the joy in you, that is pertaining to modern history, because Annie Besant is very common topic and every civil servant know about her. So this question had been asked in 2013 of the UPSC Prelims. So we had given certain things that were pertaining to Annie Besant, and we need to check which of the following statement is correct. So Annie Besant was responsible for starting Home Rule movement. That is correct, because it was inspired by the Irish Home Rule League, and he started the Home Rule movement in India. So founder of Theosophical Society, that is incorrect, because Annie Besant was just a volunteer. In fact, the founder of the Theosophical Society was Madam Blavatsky and H.S. Olcott. So 2 become incorrect, 1 become correct. Now let's read the third point, that is once the president of Indian National Congress. So if you know that the Annie Besant was the first woman president of the Indian National Congress. So option 1 and 3 become correct, hence our option C is correct. So let's move on to question number 90. So question number 90 is pertaining to Ilbert Bill controversy. So the Ilbert Bill controversy was related to removal of disqualification imposed on the Indian magistrate with regard to trial of the European. So option C is the correct answer. Let's move on to question number 91. Now question number 91 is the Radcliffe Committee. Now the Radcliffe is a border between India and Pakistan. If you know that Radcliffe Committee was appointed to delimitate the boundaries between India and Pakistan. So that is a very easy question that has been asked in the UPSC Prelim 2014. Now let's move on to question number 92. Now question number 92 is, the partition of Bengal made by Lord Curzon in 1905 lasted until. Now this question had been asked in 2014. So the correct answer is option B, that is the King George V abrogated Curzon's Act and the Royal Darbar at Delhi 1911. Now in the 1911 King George V visited the India, and the capital of India during that time was transformed from Calcutta to Delhi, and from then only the capital of India became Delhi, and previously it was Calcutta. And let's move on to question number 93. So question number 93 is, what were the objects of Queen Victoria Proclamation of 1858? So this question had been asked in 2014 UPSC Prelim. So we need to check the correct answer using the code given below. So to disclaim any intention to annex Indian state, that is correct. So if you know that after the first war of independence, that is that happened in 1857. So 1857 Sepoy Mutiny or first war of independence was the last was the result that the crown took the control of the India, and they disclaimed any intention to annex the Indian state, and they abolished all the doctrine policy, that is doctrine of lapse were abolished. And so let's read the second point, to place the Indian administration under the British Crown, that is also correct. So to regulate East India Company trade with India. Now as you know that in the year 1858 the trade regulation of the East India Company was abolished. So option 3 become incorrect, and option 1 and 2 is already correct. So option A become the correct answer. Now let's move on to question number 94. So we are close to finish 100th question. Now question number 94 is, with reference to Indian history, which of the following is our essential element of the feudal system? Now the feudal system is pertaining to emergence of the administrative structure based on the control and possession of land, that is correct. Creation of lord-vassal relationship between the feudal lord and his overlord, that is also correct. So option B is the correct answer pertaining to question number 94. Now let's move on to question number 95. Now question number 95 is, who of the following were economic critic of the colonialism in India? So this question had been asked in 2015. So without a doubt you might have easily guessed that Dadabhai Naoroji was the prime critic or the critic of the British economic colonialism in India. He wrote the Economic Drain book also. So one is correct. Now you can easily eliminate option C because there wasn't any option pertaining to Dadabhai Naoroji. So we have to choose between 1 A, B and D. So Subramaniam Iyer, that is also the economic critic. R.C. Dutt was also the economic critic. So the correct answer is option D, that is 1, 2 and 3. Now let's move on to question number 96. So with reference to Congress Socialist Party, consider the following statement. It advocated the boycott of British goods and evasion of taxes. No, it doesn't advocated the boycott of British goods and evasion of taxes. So that is wrong. It wanted to establish the dictatorship of the proletariat. No, that is also incorrect. It advocated separate electorate for minorities and oppressed class. So that is also incorrect. So the correct answer is option D, that is all are incorrect. Now let's move on to question number 97. So question number 97 is, the Government of India Act of 1919 clearly defined. So this question had been asked in the year 2015. So the correct answer is option B, the jurisdiction of the central and the provincial government. Now the Montague-Chelmsford Reform, which became the Government of India Act 1919, clearly defines the jurisdiction of the central and the provincial government. So the correct answer is option B. Let's move on to question number 98. So question number 98 is, who of the following organized a march on the Tanjore coast to break the salt law in April 1930? So this question had been asked in UPSC Prelims 2015. So as you all know that the salt law was salt law breaking was initiated by Mahatma Gandhi, and the Tanjore coast was organized by C. Rajagopalachari. Now C. Rajagopalachari organized a march from Tiruchirappalli to Vedaranayam on the Tanjore coast to break the salt law in April 1930. So option B is the correct. Now let's move on to question number 99. Now consider the following statement. The first woman president of the Indian National Congress was Sarojini Naidu. No, that is incorrect because the first woman president was Annie Besant. In fact, the first Indian woman president was Sarojini Naidu. Now option A become incorrect, that is option 1 become incorrect. Let's read the second option. The first Muslim president of the Indian National Congress was Badruddin Tayyibji. So that is correct. So only option B is correct, that is 2 only is correct. Rest 1 is incorrect. Now let's move on to question number 100. Now this question had been asked recently in the year 2016. So the Swadeshi and boycott were adopted method of struggle for the first time during. Now it was during the agitation against the partition of Bengal. So option A is the correct answer. Let's move on to question number 101. Satya Shodak Samaj organized. So Satya Shodak Samaj was pertaining to Jyotiba Phule and it was an anti-caste movement in Maharashtra. So this question had been asked in the year 2016. So correct answer is option C. Let's move on to question number 102. Now, what was the main reason for the split in the Indian National Congress at Surat in 1907? So the correct reason is option B, that is extremist lack of faith in the capacity of moderates to negotiate with the British government. Now the extremist side were led by Lal Bal Pal, that is Lala Lajpat Rai, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Bipin Chandra Pal, along with Aurobindo Ghosh was also one of the extremists. So they believed that the moderates lacks in the capacity to negotiate with the British government, and they do not like their process and their ideologies. So that was one of the main reasons for the Surat split of Congress in 1907, and it was during the Lord Curzon time. So if an exam they may ask that who was the Governor General during the Congress split, so it was Lord Curzon. So let's move on to question number 103. So question number 104 is the last question of this video series for modern history. So the question that has been asked in the year 2016, that is recently in the UPSC Prelims. So the plan of Sir Stafford Cripps envisaged that after the Second World War, now it envisaged that the India should be given a dominion status. So the correct option is option D. So that's it for now. I hope you like this series, and if you haven't watched the previous 5 video, and in total I have put about 6 videos pertaining to modern history, in which I had covered all the questions that were asked in pertaining to modern history segment from 1995 to year 2016. So I'm going to put lots of other videos as well pertaining to other subjects, that is I'm going to upload the videos on polity as well as in the geography. So I'm going to cover all the series questions. So if you liked it, please subscribe now and please like the video. And if you don't, please comment down below and let me know the reason so that I can improve. And that's it for now. Thank you for now. Bye bye. Enjoy. Happy journey.